Hello everyone, it's Nicole at Pixel Maven's Retreat, and this time I've got for you a 5-minute card that you are just going to love. It has very little stamping and a super simple technique that makes a really cool embossing pattern on cardstock. So this pattern is not spread on with any kind of liquid or anything like that. It's actually embossed, and I used stencils, and I have a whole bunch of stencils from altenew that would work. This scallop builder, the feathered leaves, the flowing drops, which I think we're going to use today. The sample I used was the deco wallpaper, and it's very cool. And you could really use any of these, and they would really make a neat effect. So this is like a 5-minute card, super simple. And I'm going to use flowing drops today. And the key to this is getting kind of a paper that has a little bit of sponginess to it, a little bit of fiber to it. So I am using some hot press watercolor because it's nice and smooth, but it also has a little bit of sponginess to it. And it really makes a great impression with hardly any effort at all. And a couple other things we'll need is, of course, a card base and a couple of strips of white cardstock that is cut to 1/4 inch for our little thin sentiment. So the big thing here is that I'm using 2 pieces, and it's because you need that extra bit to, because you need the proper sandwich for your big shot. So I'm just going to take some pieces, just 1 piece actually is enough to just kind of keep that in place. With this particular stencil, it doesn't matter so much because it's all patterned all over the place. For ones that have patterns, though, you're going to want to make sure that you just make sure that it stays in the right place. There's a lot of different ways that you can do that today. I'm just using some low-tack adhesive strips. And I want to make sure that these guys are lined right on top of each other because otherwise you will see they'll actually emboss into each other. We don't want that. So this is thin enough that it's not going to make a difference. So you can see I have my cardstock on both sides here. All right. So I have the proper thickness, and my sandwich is just going to be the platform, the additional adapter, an acrylic plate, my little paper sandwich here, and then of course the top acrylic plate. And this just runs right through the big shot. All right, so I ran this back and forth twice. And now you will see that we have actually 2 pieces with a great pattern on them. All right, so see how cool that is? Just a really fun embossed pattern. It's very much like letterpress, which I love letterpress. So if you wanted to, you could ink up your stencil beforehand and make sure that it stays adhered and run it through, and you would end up with a total letterpress look. So letterpress is when you get the ink into the debossed areas, and that's really what makes a letterpress a letterpress. All right, so I'm just going for the white on white on white today. So now that I have that done, that's going to get assembled. And I'm just going to take a sentiment from Dearest Friend here. This one says, "Wish you were here," and set this up in my stamp positioner. Now, of course, these are very thin strips, but your positioner can handle it. And I can even put a second one right there. And these guys, I like to just make sure that they're nice and straight on here. They like to bend, the little ones do for sure. And I'm just going to make sure that it's right in the center here. And then we can snip when we're done. And that's simple. I love the VersaFine Clair for that because it just makes such a beautiful impression. So you could do a second one since you ended up with 2 pieces, or you could just do the single and be done with it. So let's get to some assembly. See, I told you this is like a 5-minute card. It's gorgeous. This would be amazing if you needed a last-minute wedding card and you didn't have time to put anything together. I mean, who doesn't have time to cut a few strips of paper, a few pieces of paper, and glue them together with a great sentiment. Easy peasy, no fuss, and it's gorgeous. Of course, you could do this with different colored cardstock, as long as it had enough sponginess to it that it would really take the embossing. Okay, so I make sure these align perfectly here. Gorgeous. And then I'm just going to snip the sentiment and get a little bit of, I just got this huge roll of 1/4-inch foam and I love it. It rips right off, which is great, and because it's 1/4 inch, it's going to fit right on here perfectly. And I kind of like this 3M stuff better because it has, it's like more dense. So I think that it holds things much better. So just snipping the excess off there. And then, like normal, just pop this on. If you need to, of course, you could use a T-square to make sure that you're getting this on here square, but I think that's pretty good. All right, so super simple 5-minute card that you can create with any stencils that you have to make a beautiful debossed look. I hope you enjoyed this little project and you get a chance to make it sometime soon. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that way you get all of the latest and greatest as I publish them out here on YouTube. I hope to see you again here for another 5-minute project, but until next time, happy crafting.